Hey guys, what's up? Lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss our very first book, actually. We've never discussed books yet before. I'm very distraught at the book we're going to be talking about. Trials of Apollo, Book 3, The Burning Maze by Rick Riordan, the greatest author in the history of mankind. We're going to get into why I'm obsessed with Rick at another time, but Rick started writing this particular book series as a fourth spin-off of the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series, which has had 5 books. Then there was the Kane Chronicles, which had 3 books. Percy was about Greek gods. Kane Chronicles was about the Egyptian gods and magicians. Heroes of Olympus was about the Roman/Greek gods. Then you have Magnus Chase trilogy and the Gods of Asgard, which is about the Norse gods. And now you have the Trials of Apollo, which is about Greek and Roman again. But everything is the same Percyverse, as we call it. Those of us who are fans of Uncle Rick. We'll get into how I came across him at another time. We'll talk about Lightning Thief, the very first book from 2005, at another time. But so the third installment of the Trials of Apollo book series, which is called The Burning Maze. We're going to discuss it. So much happened in this book, and I'm so upset because the main character dies, and I've given you plenty of spoiler warnings down below because we're actually going to talk about the deaths. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to collect myself. We'll backtrack. Book 3 is The Burning Maze, right? Book 2 is The Dark Prophecy. We're going backwards. Book 1 is The Hidden Oracle. There's a 4th coming out fall of next year, or spring of next year, one of those. And then there's a 5th coming out after that for the Trials of Apollo book series. I actually have the UK versions as well, because the UK versions have much better cover art. So this is the first one's cover art, and this is the second one's cover art. These look like actual scenes from a movie, right? I just have to get the third, because I just finished the third. Anyway, so the Burning Maze, we have Apollo, the god Apollo, who is now in mortal form because Zeus got mad at him a 3rd time and made him mortal, and he's now Lester Papadopoulos, which is so much fun to say. So Lester meets Meg McCaffrey, who is a demigod daughter of Demeter. And in this Burning Maze book, they meet up with Grover Underwood, who is throughout all of the Percy Jackson series. Best friends with Percy, they have an empathy link. So much has happened within these last, 20-something books? It's just so much information, man. But it makes you think and it makes you question, and being a part of this particular fandom is that we cry all the time. And we just make jokes and cry and make more jokes and cry some more. And because that's what you have to do. There's a lot of characters and a lot of stuff happens, and we didn't actually have a main character death in a very long time. We're introduced to the main character death in this book, Jason Grace. Rest in peace. He is the demigod son of Jupiter, who is the Roman form of Zeus. But Jason has roots then in Camp Jupiter, which is the Roman training camp in California, and Camp Half-Blood, which is the Greek training camp on Long Island, which is where I live, in New York. In the state of New York. The camp is on Long Island, which is to the east of Manhattan. The Isle of Manhattan, anyway. Piper McLean is the demigod daughter of Aphrodite. She's throughout this book as well. Piper and Jason were dating for the longest time throughout the Heroes of Olympus book series. We also have Leo Valdez, a demigod son of Hephaestus. You know, all these demigods are just everywhere, right? One parent is mortal, one parent is an Olympian, of the Greek or Roman side. or in Magnus Chase aspect, Magnus is still technically a demigod, but his lineage is he's the son of Frey, who's a Norse god. The Kane kids, Carter Kane and Sadie Kane, are not demigods, but they have blood of pharaohs pouring through them, so that's how they're Egyptian magicians. It's a lot of information I'm throwing out, and I'm so sorry I'm not as overly excited, but this death of Jason really hit me hard, man. Really hit me hard, because you have Jason and Percy just broing down, and they call each other's bro all the time, and you have Jason in that cave with Nico D'Angelo. Oh my god, in what book was that? Was that House of Hades? Where they had to fight down Cupid, and Cupid just was just an asshole to Nico, and he forced Nico to come out, and he was like, no, talk about your feelings for Percy. And then Nico's like, yeah, I know, I've been in love with Percy. And then but he didn't want to talk about it, because Nico's like from the 40s, and there's a whole Hotel Lotus thing that stopped time, and my brain is just mush. All of this facts are just coming to me, but Jason was there with Nico, and Jason just looked at Nico and said, listen, we love you no matter what. It doesn't matter who you like. So what if you like Percy? No one's going to mess with you because we're your friends. We have your back. And when Jason said that to Nico, it was just this moment, and you're like, holy crap. You don't mess around with Jason Grace. Younger brother to Talia Grace, who unfortunately turned into a pine tree, and then now she's one of the Hunters of Artemis, and it's just every story, man, it's just intertwined with these plots, and with Jason dying at the hands of a Roman emperor, golden spear twice to the back, and Apollo crying because he can't do anything about it because he's just this mortal Lester. Piper bursting to tears, throughout, and then Apollo just continuously crying, but making sure that the death wasn't in vain, and Jason's like, just remember what it's like to be human. And I'm gonna get choked up. I'm gonna get choked up talking about this book. I got this book last week, I think my mom picked it up, and I came home and I saw it, and I was like, oh my god, thank you so much. I was not expecting this, because I knew something big was going to happen in this book, and I didn't know how much big was actually happening in this book. Apollo is the greatest god. I know people argue, oh no, Poseidon's the greatest god. No, but Apollo's the greatest god because he's Apollo. He's the god of everything. He's the sun god, who after Helios. Apollo is this queer icon. He's had boyfriends, he's had girlfriends, he's married girls, he hasn't married guys. But we have the hyacinth flower because his boyfriend Hyacinthus tragically died at the hands of Apollo, and he's just felt remorse ever since. And Apollo's a romantic, and when he falls in love, he falls in love. It doesn't matter the gender. It's just Apollo likes what Apollo likes. And if you're fortunate enough to be liked by Apollo, then you're in good hands. Unless, unfortunately, something happens tragically and you are killed. But then you'll be remembered forever and you will be immortal. Apollo broke down so many times in this book. And to see such character development on a writing standpoint of this god who is forced to become immortal because Zeus/Jupiter didn't like what Apollo did at one point. Just cast him down and was like, you know what, this is the plot. So the plot of the 5-book series for the Trials of Apollo. Apollo's trials are to defeat these emperors who are trying to take over the world, and to find all of the oracles that are lost, because Apollo is is a god of the oracle, right? So all the oracles are missing. What happens? Where are these oracles? So they find the third oracle of this one through the labyrinth. That's the maze, the burning maze, because the maze is on fire, because Helios is being controlled by Medea, who's a sorceress, who's the Emperor Caliculo is trying to make an arrangement with her and Encanthus, and it's just, I'm throwing out all these names, and you probably have no idea what the hell I'm talking about unless you've actually read these books and studied the mythologies. And that's the thing, man, is that Rick takes these ancient stories, these myths, these religions, and he turns them into these modern tales of woe and adventure and amazing. You know what the greatest aspect about these books so far is, you know, I already talked about Apollo's sense of humanity, of sobbing over Jason's death. Sobbing. You're crying while you're reading it. I have tear stains in my book now, but in the first book, in Hidden Oracle, we're introduced to Nico D'Angelo and Will Solace being a couple. Will is an offspring of Apollo. Will is a demigod offspring of Apollo. And Apollo goes into this monologue in that first book, and he's like, oh, why do you think I should have a problem with my son dating another, you know, guy? You know, who am I to judge? I've dated plenty of guys. I've dated plenty of girls. As long as my son is happy and my son is being treated right, why does it matter if he's dating the same gender? It means nothing. And it was this like stamp of approval, and you're like, Apollo said it's okay, so it's okay. And then you have Will Solace and Nico D'Angelo, literal night and day. Nico D'Angelo, the offspring son of Hades/Pluto, demigod offspring son of Hades/Pluto. Will Solace, who's a healer, demigod son of Apollo. Together, their shipping name is Solangelo. Hashtag Solangelo all over the place. It's magic. But Apollo gives you this sense of strength, this sense of inner strength, this sense of bravery, this sense of courage, this sense of, I can do this. I can do this. I'm not alone. I can do this. I can be me. I can be happy being me. I'm supposed to fail. There'd be no success without failure. And it's fascinating how Rick writes these books. He is a genius, absolute genius when it comes to these books. I'm just so upset at Jason Grace's death, man. Like, Jason is so important, and you know, it's funny how all these books are tied together. There's so many of them, and the last Magnus Chase book, which is the book before this, actually, Magnus is actually Annabeth Chase's cousin on the mortal side. Annabeth is a demigod daughter of Athena. And then Annabeth is also dating Percy Jackson, the main character, demigod son of Poseidon/Neptune. And at the end of Magnus, the third Magnus Chase book, you know, Annabeth and Percy are on the phone, and they're talking to Magnus, seeing how he's doing, because he just finished his questing and stuff like that, and he's technically dead, but he's a Valkyrie, and like but he's not a Valkyrie. It's this thing. It's this long Norse thing. But, like, they mentioned that something big just happened in California, and, like, Percy's not doing well. And then we find out what the hell happened in California that Percy's not doing well. It's because his bro Jason just died. People will probably wonder why I have so much attachment to these fictional characters. I grew up with these fictional characters, okay? Like I said, we'll talk about Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief, which came out in 2005. We'll talk about that another time, which sparked my interest for all of this. But when you grow... For instance, Jason Grace's character was introduced in 2010. I'm looking because my bookshelf is here. In The Lost Hero. Heroes of Olympus, The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. 2010, that book came out. 8 years I've invested my life with this one particular character, who is awesome. Jason Grace is awesome. He's blue eyes and this gorgeous blonde hair and this scar on his lip, and they call him Thunder Boy because he can fly with the wind, and like he has this. God, I'm in mourning. I'm mourning the loss of a fictional character, and that's perfectly natural. It's perfectly natural to mourn something that you have been emotionally invested into. People cry when their car breaks. People cry when a grandparent passes. People cry when they see a sale on shoes because they're just so happy, you know. You're supposed to express yourself in many forms of emotions. You're not supposed to be happy all the time. You're supposed to be sad. You're supposed to be angry. You're supposed to be quizzical. You're supposed to just wonder. You're supposed to mourn. And I need time to mourn. I read this book in, a week? Maybe, in between job stuff and the slight free time that I have. And I know I'm rambling, and I know I could go on and on and on about Rick Riordan's work and how he's my favorite author, and I have actual tattoos because of his work. But my hope for you is that you find solace. Oh my God, I just said that. Find solace. Will Solace, get it? Son of Apollo. You find solace in some form of literature that you learn, that you question. Stay inquisitive. This book was beautifully crafted. I shed many tears. I laughed a lot too. It was very funny at times. But at the end of the book, you know, Apollo, I have it marked because my immediate thought was The Greatest Showman, and you'll understand why. Again, I gave the fair warning of spoilers all around. So at the very end of the Burning Maze, Apollo's, you know, talking to us, the reader, and he says, but from now on, I would be more than Lester. I would be more than an observer. I would be Apollo. I would remember. Jason made Apollo promise that he would remember what it's like to be human when he becomes God again. To not forget his humanity, because he is technically human. And as I'm reading this from now on, because it says, but from now on, I'm literally thinking of Hugh Jackman as P.T. Barnum singing from now on in that bar scene at the end of Greatest Showman. From now on, these eyes would not be blinded by the lights. From now on, what's waited till tomorrow starts tonight. It starts tonight. Let this promise in me start like an anthem in my heart. From now on. From now on. So when I read the end of the book and I'm thinking of that song and I'm reading the words and tears are coming down my face. It's hard, man. It's really hard. But this is healthy. We talk about this. We celebrate and we mourn together at the loss of a fictional character that we've been involved with for 8 years. It's a friend. We grew with this character. I will never forget the lessons and the strength and the courage and bravery and the beauty that was and is the hero, Jason Grace. I don't know how to rate this book with a Bolt scale. You know, I've been doing I give it X amount of bolts for a movie or a Broadway show kind of a thing. But we'll treat it like a friend review because I don't actually give bolts to friend reviews. I can't give bolts to these books, man. I don't know how. I couldn't fathom how to do it. So, what did you think of this book? Clearly, you've read it if you're reading, if you're watching this. Did you laugh as much as I did? Did you cry as much as I did? Did you go, oh crap, when it's realized that they have to go talk to Reyna at Camp Jupiter? Reyna, the demigod daughter of Bellona, who's the Roman goddess of war. Yo, Reyna is this badass Puerto Rican girl that we met, back in the second book of Percy Jackson in the Sea of Monsters? What was that, 2006? So 12 years? 12 years ago we met this character? Bruh. Book 4 is gonna be insane. Insane. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Uncle Rick, for giving me a spark of knowledge, giving me some questions, giving me the chance to be inquisitive, because I've learned so much in this world because of your books. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be you. It's okay to question. It's okay to be scared. Just stand up and fight. Be that hero to yourself or to others. Yeah. Trials of Apollo, Book 3, The Burning Maze. I highly recommend it. Mucho mahalo, guys.